What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. I got some big stuff for you guys in this video. Check this out. Over $5 billion in cargo stuck off the West Coast ports already. I'll give you the details on this and how it's going to disrupt the nation, and it's growing by the day. Number two, a House proposal would restore and expand the improved monthly child tax credits, and it's potentially a bipartisan proposal. Support from both sides. I'll give you the details on that. Also, why Social Security's COLA, cost of living adjustment, could be cut in half. Here we go. Let's jump right in. Okay, number one, $5.2 billion in cargo stuck off the West Coast ports in truck and container bottleneck. Yeah, this is growing a bigger and bigger concern by the day as there's a labor dispute here. And we're seeing more and more people basically walk off the job as they want more money. Inflation is catching up with all of us. And the ships are starting to pile up over there. It's kind of reminiscent of what we've seen here from the pandemic. Deja vu, right? All over again. And the amount of ships are growing by the day. And, well, this is causing delays already. Hawaii's being affected particularly because, well, it's the West Coast and most stuff has to get shipped over to Hawaii. And this is going to be really starting to pinch our economy and the entire country the longer this goes on. Yeah, the number of containers waiting off the port limits for Port of Los Angeles, I think that's the largest port in the country, or it's the second, is more than double last week's level. So you can see how quickly it's getting worse. The threat of more ocean trade being diverted to the East Coast, which is a significant delay when you got to send a ship all the way to the other coast, and the Gulf Coast ports is complicated by the Panama Canal experiencing drought conditions. But even is an option, will add as much as 12 to 18 days travel time for cargo bound by the U.S. There's a new House proposal that would restore the expanded and improved monthly child tax credits. Here's the details on this. A group of U.S. representatives has introduced the American Family Act legislation that would make the previously expanded and improved monthly child tax credits permanent. Yeah, and if you remember during the pandemic, the child tax credits were increased from $2,000 to $3,000 for children above ages 6 through 17, and $3,600 for children below the ages of 6. And they had the monthly option, which was really good as well because parents didn't get all the money at once when they filed their tax return, so they didn't tend to blow it as quickly, which was actually a little bit better because Americans aren't really that great at managing their money, so that was good too. Remember, you got to file a tax return to get the money, to get all the money either way, because even if you got the monthly option, when it was a monthly option, it only was an option for the second half of the year. Still had to file a tax return to get the other half of the money. So keep that in mind. But if this comes back, this would affect more than 61 million children. That's a lot of children that this would help. Studies suggest it made a tremendous impact. Before the pandemic, over 10 million children in the US lived in poverty, one of the highest child poverty rates among high income countries, which is pretty sad. Pretty sad. About half of all children living in poverty are living in what's called extreme poverty, defined as living in a household with an annual income of 13,000 or below for a family of 4. According to the AMA, the expanded child tax credit resulted in an increased child wellness, the ability to pay for household expenses, and decreased child food insufficiency. But they noticed that these gains diminished immediately when these child tax credits were gone. They saw a 41% increase in childhood poverty. So they have introduced this in the House of Representatives. U.S. Representatives Rosa DeLauro, Democrat from Connecticut, Susan Del Bini from Democrat from Washington, and Richie Torres from New York would like to see the return and expanded credit made permanent. It provided unprecedented economic security for families. It was the largest tax cut for middle class and working families in generations, they said. Quote, by permanently expanding the child tax credits to 2021 levels, the legislation would help millions of children and families, especially the lowest income families, who currently make too little to receive the child tax credits. Yeah, so right now there's certain stipulations and filing tax returns to get the $2,000 credits, which is what they are now. As always, look into the details. Maybe talk to somebody with tax knowledge about your specific situations. Remember, the child tax credits are still around. It's actually former President Donald Trump and his daughter who helped get Congress to raise them from $1,000 to $2,000. So they are still around. They've just reverted back from $3,000 to $3,600 down to $2,000. You do need to file a tax return to get them, so they are still there. They would need Republican support to pass this, and there is definitely several members of Congress from the Republican Party that are in favor of this, including various proposals have been floated by Republican senators, including Republican Senator Marco Rubio from Florida and Republican Senators Mitt Romney from Utah, but have not yet moved forward, aka passed yet. I believe actually both of theirs are actually for a little bit more money than the $3,000 to $3,600 with stipulations. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, while Social Security's COLA could be cut in half next year, remember that the 2023 COLA cost of living adjustment for Social Security was 8.7%. It was actually the largest in over 40 years. It goes going all the way back to 1981 and was actually the fourth largest cost of living adjustment ever since Social Security was invented. Yeah, going back to the Great Depression. Yeah. So next year's increase may not be as large, almost certainly will not be as large. Almost positively will not be as large. You can almost bet your bottom dollar and go to Vegas and almost bet that it will not be 8.7%. Of course, nothing in life is certain until it actually comes through, but we're getting indications that it could be half. So be prepared. However, there were actually some years in the not so distant past that they were zero. If you've been on Social Security for not that long, you actually remember several years that Social Security was zero with cost of living adjustment. In fact, if we look here, right on the Social Security website, years that Social Security cost of living adjustment was zero. 2015, zero. 2016, 0.3. Many years that it was 1%. 2009, 0. 2010, 0. So you can see multiple years of 0 or 1%. So really, hardly anything or several years of 0 not that long ago. And if you're a retiree, your Social Security COLA for next year will likely be well below your adjustment for this year. Congratulations and condolences are perhaps both applicable. Here's why. Every year, the Social Security Administration determines how much of a cost of living adjustment beneficiaries will receive. The most recent was 8.7, the highest in 4 decades. Next year will not be as much. It's important to remember that COLAs, cost of living adjustments, are based on inflation and are measured by the CPIW, Consumer Price Index for the urban wage earners and clerical workers. Yeah, it's a mouthful. CPIW. When inflation runs rampant, like it kind of still feels like it is, the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to bring it down, which is, if you've been watching my channel, I told you that was going to happen before they even raised the interest rates. It's a tried and true proven strategy, although it kind of feels like a nightmare now that they're doing it. They might take some time to work, but inflation has been actually coming down. I know it doesn't feel like it. But even with the small increases of inflation, it's looking quite possible that next year's COLA will be roughly half as much as this year. Now, they calculate it on the third quarter of the year, so the 3 months of the third quarter. But in April, the CPIW was 4.6% year over year, just to give you an idea. That rate is only a little over half of the latest COLA from that was this year of 8.7%. And remember that inflation's trickling down a little bit every month, or about the same, but going down a little bit. So retirees' cost of living adjustment could be cut in half or even lower. The third quarter is what? July, August, and September. So the fourth quarter is October, November, December. So July is not that far away. So eventually we'll get the data for that, and we'll start to get the quarters, and we'll know what the inflation numbers are for those months. So I'll keep you up to date here on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on anything going on here in our country on a daily basis. And thank you so much for liking, and please share these videos with anybody that needs to know this. You can share them over text message or on Facebook, Twitter. Really helps out our channel, and share them with anybody that needs to know this information as well. Here's some videos you should watch next. It's coming for all 50 states, and most Americans don't even know it. And there could be changes to the Constitution. You can see that here in this video. So click on one of them next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.